Welcome to another mailbag session. Remember, these are questions and comments you guys leave on the channel. But before we get going on this session, remember, normal parish notices apply. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, why not? Hit the subscribe icon. If you want to be notified when new content hits the channel, it's the bell icon's the one you need. If you like the contents of this video, give it a thumbs up. Consider becoming a member of the TMTG community. It's always a big mouthful. The address is down the bottom, as are the Facebook and Instagram tags. Go tag me over there. But now back to the video. Next one comes from Maroud Ferrad. And in response to the part 1 of the SY85 restoration series done in April 2020. And he writes, I have one in 1996, brand new, and a second used with faulty disk drive. Without the disk drive, the SY85 is a piece of S***T. When I got my SY85, one of the things I did when I was reading through the user groups was realise that the disk drive on the 85, the 77, and the 99 was the Achilles heel of the machine. They had a habit of going wrong, which is probably one of the reasons why you can get the replacement drive belts from them from so many sources. I'm not sure I would classify the machine as S***T. It's a very good machine, and you can still get sounds on and off it using Sysx. It's just a pain in the rump. But what I would say is, if you've got one that's got a faulty disk drive, just replace the disk drive. It wasn't expensive. I know it's a pain. You've got to open it up, and as somebody said to me the other day, is get out your power screwdriver because you've got so many screws to undo when you actually go into the SY85. But reality is, get a new disk drive in. It's so easy to change it. Get a modern drive in, and it will last you a lot longer than the original disk drives for those machines. They were considered poor at the time they were put into the machines. And looking back on it, everybody now says it was a mistake. They should have used direct drive machines, but that kind of wasn't where the industry was back then. And this belt drive system, which is one of the biggest issues, the belt just snaps, or as I found, just perished. Literally, just perished as soon as I touched it. But that is reality. Get a new disk drive. You'll think they're wonderful again. Next one from Sean Curran. In response to video cock up Windows 10 warnings, plug outs, and eBay and DirectRS, done in May 2020. And he writes, "Hey John, great video. Test recordings. Now this is to do with the fact that I keep having problems with the sound on the cameras. And I thought I'd have got to the bottom of it, and then I did a bunch of videos or a bunch of recording early this week. Found out no sound came across, and I can't work out what I did wrong because they're now working perfectly because I'm recording this. But I keep having issues with the cameras just deciding not to record audio. I am going to get new cameras. That's one thing I have decided. I'm just going to have to wait until there's some pennies in the bank account. Hence the reason why, that's where Patreon comes in, because if you sponsor the channel on Patreon, I can go and buy some. Shameless plug. Anyway, also nice workroom. So he's talking about this new space I've got. What inspires you? Music, a dark studio, a bright studio. I'm in a new space, not finished space like my old house. I choose the basement for my studio due to the size, space. I'm a dark studio kind of musician. I like dark with greys, deep reds, and maybe a little navy, but dark with mood and lighting. So, I have had a couple of different spaces over the last 5-ish years since I decided to rebuild the studio. And the first was in the front room. was the back of the front room, and I found that really nice. It was nice and light. Sorry, I'm swinging on my chair. I tend to do this when I'm thinking. I find it nice and light. I found it nice and light. I found the keyboards were easily accessible. The reason why I moved from that to the new space was because I was finding that I was taking over the front room, and I was finding I didn't have places to sit, so I moved everything. I rented a small space, and I moved everything there, which was bigger than my front room, but it got things out of my front room, and I just left a piano in my front room. Or I think it was for a long while it was just the T1, then it became this, then it was the Kronos for a while. But effectively I left a keyboard in the front room so I could play at home. But when I was doing stuff, I was at the studio. And the studio was darker, and it had a window, and the window would have been there. So if the camera was there filming me, the window was kind of there, but it was high, and all it did was look out onto a brick wall. And I found that space harder to work in. I didn't think I would when I set it up, but I did towards the end, just before, when I was packing down. I did find it harder to work in. I like this space because, although you can't see it now, it's dark, but I have windows that are behind the camera. So it's windows down that side, windows down this side, and then wall, and a big window there as well, which is off camera. So there's lots of light in here. So that's the first thing. I'm looking out at the garden of the shared house I live in. I kind of find I get left alone in here, so the housemates are in another part of the house at the moment. They're watching TV. We've just had something to eat, but they're sitting down with a sort of glass of wine, just chin-wagging. And I'm out here, and they kind of leave me alone, which is great. I mean, sometimes when I'm making these videos, there'll be one of them sitting off camera over there, and when I stop recording, they're talking to me. But generally, if I'm out here, if I'm playing this, sometimes they're out here with me drinking a glass of wine. Other times we're elsewhere. But I do like this space. I think it's nice. It's airy. I have had more keyboards in here. I've currently got 2 keyboards and a drum machine in here. There's one keyboard kind of in front of me at the moment, which I'm using as a desk for this session. But this is I've got the SY85 just in front of me. I've had a couple of questions on the channel that I just I think I know the answer to, but I just need to sort of kind of fire this up and look at it. So I suppose what I'm saying is I didn't think about it, but I like my playing space to be quite light and airy. And I think when I do eventually end up somewhere else, that the playing space for my keyboards and the studio stuff will be more open, as in more light into it, than what the studio was set up before I packed it down. I think that's kind of where I'm coming from with that. So I find that sitting here looking out over the garden, I find things come to me easier than they have been for the last couple of years. So that's kind of my take on it, I suppose.